what you think about couples separating their finances. How do you, structure your finances at home, and what are the pros and cons of both, I guess?
So, I don't think that separating, if for a multitude of reasons, one being financial freedom, other being just my biblical principles, another just being like you took a pledge to somebody, to share children and everything else. So for all those reasons, I don't think that separating finances is a smart decision. As far as my relationship, we've done things multitude of different ways. It's always been, even when I think before we actually got married, she moved in maybe a month before we got married. But we had all our finances from day one, as soon as she moved in. I paid off her car, actually. She had just bought a little cheap car. I paid it off, and then, that was when we were engaged, even before we got married. So our finances have always been tied to one another. Now, we've done it through trial and error. We've done it multiple different ways. We've done the Dave Ramsey program. We've done kind of like separate bank accounts, if you will. So everything comes in a joint account, all the bills get paid, and then we kind of have his and hers money. So I might get a couple $100s, which I don't think is splitting. That's just, my fun money. If I want to go buy a cigar or have a whiskey or, whatever, it's that's my money that I know that I can spend. Right now, it's still kind of how it is, but we're kind of gearing more to one account for bills and one account for everything else. And when I say everything else, it's still technically a bill, but food, entertainment, and then I'm trying to push a lot of that off onto her. I make sure all the bills are paid. Mm-hmm. No, I said make sure they're paid. I set everything up on auto pay.
Right.
But
so your paycheck covers the bills.
But yeah, so make sure that's paid, and then everything else kind of goes to her. It's kind of how, so I'm kind of going away from my own personal account, if you will, like fun, but then I'll just tap into that whenever I want. So, like I said, it's been, we've never, I don't think there's any one perfect system, but I do think, going back to the overarching question, I do think having your funds together is the smartest move, because if you can't trust somebody with your money, how do you trust them in life? When, going back to biblical principles, God said, two become one, husband and wife become one person, one being. So, you share a bed, you share a bank account type thing. So that's kind of my take on that. Everybody I know that has separate bank accounts seem to fight over money more than people. I'm not saying people don't fight over money, but it's always like, oh, he spends all this, or she spends all this, or it's just always some kind of controversy over the money. Well, I made this money, so I get to keep it. And
right.
I don't subscribe to that. But my wife's also stay at home.
Yeah. Well, and that point about unity, I think people have a tough time understanding truly what does the two becoming one mean.
Yeah.
A more common conversation, especially even amongst the church, is the Trinity, right? Like, what does the Trinity mean? How can someone be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit all at the same time? That doesn't make sense. It's like, I think it's easier for me to grasp.
A lot of stuff doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make it untrue.
Exactly, yeah. Because we're not capable of comprehending it.
Yeah.
And
I don't understand gravity, but it works every morning when I get out of bed.
That's right, yeah. And so I think, growing up playing sports, and especially being a part of the military, we have a little bit different, it's a little bit easier to relate to the unity, because, in sports it was always like, you don't have your name on the back of your jersey, you have the name on the front of your jersey. So you're all individuals, but when you're on the field, you are one. You are all one team.